Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Online Karting League Africa. This is the second round of the African Championship. We are racing with the T4s at Zwartkops in South Africa in the Gauteng region. This is going to be an absolute epic night of racing that we have on offer. We've got 17 cards on the grid. An absolute packed grid for the Tillotson T4 cards. Everybody's getting their final couple minutes worth of preparation in, since we had a couple guys with issues connecting to the server. We got them sorted, and we're giving everybody just the extra minute or two worth of practice before we head into our 10-minute qualifying session. Who do we have on the grid tonight? Deacon Willie Fear, Alexander Prizovic, Annual April, William Marshall, Ruben Victor, Adrian Nell, Kyle Lawrence, our faithful commentator, has joined the racing for tonight. Keegan Massey Hicks, John Wilson, Tony Orby, Ruben Maritz, Daniel Resende, Diego and Tunes, Miso Taperi, Max Bosov, Mark Pollard, and Rory Sang Mafisa. We've got one person missing there actually that has not managed to get onto our race server tonight, so that's unfortunate. But we have one driver from Namibia and one from Mozambique. Everybody else, South African drivers. Alright, here we go. Qualifying on the way. We've got 10 minutes of quali immediately. John Wilson, Deacon Willie Veer getting out of there as quickly as possible. You will see that there's some guys with the numbers 100s, a bunch of guys with the numbers 200s, and then a stack of gentlemen with the number 300s. 100s, of course, in the OKL terms would normally be your Masters class drivers. Then everybody within the 200s will be your seniors, and everybody within the 300s will be your juniors. Now, a junior would be anybody below the age of 12, the year they turn 12 and below. Seniors, everybody above 13, and then masters, anybody above 26. So we've got a good stack of drivers, all of them racing together tonight. And that is how we're going to do it in the African Championship. So super cool to see a lot of youngsters. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. 7 sim karters under the age of 12. That is amazing to see. And that just means that throughout the sim racing world, we are helping it grow. And these boys get to race with some of the best racers in the country, or actually even the continent. So a welcome return, well, first race actually for Adrian Nel from Namibia, who has been in and out of South Africa getting his prep and racing done with that MSA F4 series he's racing. So super cool to see some of the gentlemen come back and race. Let's have a look. First person on board. Okay, we'll give everybody their first lap because it's not definitely not going to be their fastest, but Annual April already out there, very quick. Deacon Willie Fear, half a tenth. Tony Orby, look at how close that top four is already, 1.5 tenths. Resende and Marshall also making a return to the OKL space, taking a break from the racing. I think he's probably gone on school holidays or something. Annual April is leading the way so far. As you can hear, these little lawnmower sounding engines, 4 strokes, they are quite slow, but it makes for the most epic wheel-to-wheel racing on track. Currently following on board Annual April, who is in second place. He's gonna cross the line now. He's had a little bit of taste in his. April's got. Oh, Massey Hicks has now gone into P1. So Massey Hicks, excuse me, was towed along there. Ooh, side by side there we go. Two of the drivers not having it their way. Massey Hicks with his Allen kart and Marshall pushing him around with the CS kart. William Marshall and Massey Hicks, as well as April, having a proper go at this one. Fighting each other across the track there. Everybody's towing each other along because the tow is mega with the T4s. Other than now, oh, he's sporting the Troy Dolanchek helmet there. So maybe that is a little bit of a tribute to the multiple OKL champ, Troy Dolanchek. Adrian now crossing the line. Let's see where he gets his lap. He's currently Adrian's down in 12th place, so he's 1.3 off the pace so far. Big gap. Tony Orby currently in 8th place as well, so it's far back. We've got massive toes all around the track. we've got a really good mix of drivers. A couple sim drivers. Mark Pollard is a sim-only driver. Adrian now, I think, started most of... Well, he's been in karting for a while, but he does a lot of sim racing as well. Who else? Everybody else is pretty much real racers, I believe. Ruben Victor is not a karter. He's more in the mechanic space. Currently in P1, though. Ruben Victor, proper fast out there today. Part of the Angry Esports team. And I believe he does mechanic work for his cousin at Plus Minus Racing there at Killarney. Ruben Victor lifting off Carl Lawrence, our commentating friend. He's currently in P6. Of course, he's going to run his barrel. Well, apparently his side pods is OKL. His nose cone is barrel. That's interesting. Whoops, we saw a cart go sideways into the bridge section. Not ideal. John Wilson trying to get a tow there with Kyle Lawrence. Just want to confirm everybody on the YouTube channel, the sound's coming through fine. You can hear everything's looking okay. Just to make sure that we're good to go. We've got about we're halfway through the qualifying now. Currently, Victor is still leading the way. John Wilson, Carl Lawrence working together. Alright, cool. Everything sounds perfect. Thank you so much. Let's have a look. John Wilson leading the way now. He's really benefited from that tow from Carl Lawrence. And myself and Carl have been chatting about this in commentary about the guys pulling each other along. And Kyle just does that for John Wilson. So John Wilson's going to say, thank you so much, Kyle. I'll accept that with open arms. See, Ruben Victor really surprised with that real good turn of pace this time around. Last race at the World Series, he finished, I think, in P4, but pace wasn't really all there. So Ruben Victor really getting to understand this T4 car better than the OKJs. Massey Hicks now goes into pole, and he's ahead of Anwar April, who's 8 milliseconds off the lead there. So these two are working together. Massey Hicks, I think he didn't get the tow, and Anwar April does. So to show you that pace of Massey Hicks at the moment, mega fast. Anwar April going to go down the inside into the pit bend, swapping positions on track. Now maybe Massey Hicks is going to try and get that last couple tenths out of this lap, or maybe use the next lap to pull him along. 18 cars on grid. We've lost one of the drivers. Interesting enough, we do have one of the juniors in the Discord, but not on the actual race server. So that's unfortunate there for one of the Namibian twins that was going to race tonight. Hasn't made it onto the actual server so far, so that's unfortunate for him. 2 minutes to go in the quali session. We've got Misu Tapedi and Deacon Willifeer just behind Massey Hicks and April. Willifeer, the OKL Junior World Champion, and I believe currently leading the African Championship as it stands. I might be wrong, but Deacon Willifeer has really come through the ranks here in the OKL Worlds, in the OKL space rather. Gonna go down the inside into the last double left, try and benefit. Let's see if he does have a better lap this time around. He's doesn't improve, but he's got about 2 more laps to go before he's gonna run out of time. Massey Hicks and April still working together. Let's go on board. As you can see there, Deacon Willifeed is really working that cart. Not trying to be too aggressive because, of course, the more you turn with these carts, the more pace you lose, and you don't want to lose any momentum with them. They are very slow at picking up their pace again. You want to keep the momentum as much as you can, but Willifeed is just outside of that toe, though, so he's not going to benefit from the toe from Massey Hicks and April in front. Ducks down, does he make it? Does improve his half a tenth of the pace now. So Willifeed doesn't need a toe, he just needed a clean lap on his own, and he's gone into P3. Wow, P1, 2, 3, 4, all within a tenth. 1.5 tenths further down is Ruben Victor. So the boys are really showing some true pace on this track. Look at this, the top 15 within 0.8 of a second, 8 tenths off. The lead is 17th place Mark Pollard. Sorry, not 17th, 15th place. That is the driver Diego Antunes, one of the juniors. Mark Pollard, unfortunately, going with the arrive and drive route, 1.2 seconds of the pace, has not managed to get his lap time on board yet, or rather a competitive lap time. Hey, Mark Pollard sporting the plus minus cart there, looking absolutely wonderful there. Supporting one of the local teams. Gorgeous looking cart. Let's see, does Pollard improve on his lap time? This is the last lap for everybody else on track. We'll just keep an eye on the timing sheets. Massey Hicks and April just behind him. Just behind Pollard, that is. Everybody, there's a couple guys. Prizovic done, Maritz done, Bosov done, Adrianel and Misotoperi all done. Mark Pollard crosses the line. It does improve 2 tenths, but not much more. Now in pole position on the last lap goes to Anwar April, 48.796. April taking the pole slot away from Keegan Massey Hicks. 1 tenth is the gap. 99 milliseconds is the gap between first and second. That is as close as it gets. Deacon Willifeed, Jono Wilson will be the second row. Ruben Victor and Prizovic third row. Marshall Ubi 7 and 8th. Carl Lawrence and Ruben Maritz rounds out the top 10. That is 4 tenths between first and 10th place. It is so close out there. That's the beauty of a T4 kart. They are as close as you can get. They are, like I said, really slow, but they make for the best racing out there. 10 laps is the pre-final. Welcome on board, everybody in the chat. We've just finished our qualifying. Excuse me. Just finished qualifying. Top 10 within 4 tenths of each other. It is as close as they get. And April in first, Massey Hicks second. So it is a Tony Kart 1-2. Then we've got 2 Tillotson, 225 chassis behind him in third and fourth in the form of Willifeed and Wilson. Both of them do race T4s real life. And we are now waiting for the lights to go out. Everybody's putting their foots down already, ducking for maximum downforce. Or aerodynamics rather. There we go. Massey Hicks gets a better start than April on the outside. Massey Hicks is going to go around the outside. April's going to have to be very aggressive into T1. Otherwise, he's going to lose a position. Jono Wilson and Deacon Willifeed side by side on the exit of T1. Nope. Deacon Willifeed gets the better of that exchange. So Willifeed staying in P3. April's already under threat there from Willifeed as well as Wilson. Wilson moving up into P3. Willifeed in P2. April has lost 3 positions in the first couple corners. Marshall Prizovic behind him in this Carlos Sainz chassis. Or Marshall just clipping the rear of Prizovic there. Prizovic on the double right is over the bridge section. We go now. Marshall's got so much more momentum. Prizovic getting it all kinds of wrong. This is also fixed setup, so the gents can't change anything. It is pretty much just get in there and race. Everybody on equal footing. Massey Hicks leading the way. Willifeed in second. Wilson third and April in fourth. That pack broke away very quickly. Marshall and Pricevic with the CS carts just behind him. Not too far off, but they have broken the toe. Nope, as I say that, Marshall is already all over Pricevic. 6 cart leading pack fight here. Wilson and Deacon Williford fighting. Williford running wide. Oh, William Marshall's going to send it down the inside. He's got a 2-for-1 special there. As I say that, it is 3 wide into the double right. Over the bridge section we go. All the carts still facing the right way, but Williford, the biggest loser in that exchange, unfortunately. Just showing Pricevic behind him the hand, giving him the hand, showing him, let's focus on the carts in front and not fight each other. Wilson and Massey Hicks has broken away with that carts fighting behind him. Wilson all over the rear of Massey Hicks. Oh, Marshall getting it wide there, and I see Carnage. And we see the 248 cart getting stuck. I believe that is Ruben Victor out of it, unfortunately. Massey Hicks, John Wilson fighting on track. This is the battle for the lead. Points on offer in the pre-final, not as much as the final, but still a lot of points to go. They can score, I think, if memory serves me right, 15 points for P1, so it's still a good haul of points, and 25 for P1 in the final. Massey Hicks leading the way, Wilson still in second. Both these drivers, I believe, have a lot of experience in the 4-stroke world. Wilson, of course, mainly focusing on the 2-stroke, but he does do the T4 racing as well. Bumper to bumper into T1 again. Just behind them we see Deacon Williford and Annual April still fighting. And we've got drivers from all over South Africa. Massey Hicks from Gauteng, I believe. John Wilson is from the KZN space. Side by side we go into the pit bend. And Wilson moves himself up into P1 now. Massey Hicks is not going to want to leave that as is. He's going to definitely fight back as soon as he can. They've got a big gap between them and the second chasing pack. And like as I said, Wilson is from the KZN space in South Africa. Massey Hicks from Gauteng, and then behind him, onto the fence we go. Oh, look at how strong that toe is. Wilson keeping the inside line very tight through that first corner, but he keeps all that momentum. That's impressive driving there from John Wilson, and he's no stranger to Zwartkops. And these two fighting, of course, that opens the door for the gentleman behind him. We're only halfway through this race, and I'm going to be without a voice before we get to the halfway mark in the final. So, well done to the gents, keeping it nice and clean. There's another big pack behind him. 17. Oh, we've got a DNF there by Ruben Victor, unfortunately. 16 carts still remaining. Kyle Lawrence very far off the pace at the moment. I think he had an issue in the first couple laps. Defensive driving into the final corner now by Wilson. Massey Hicks is going to go wide and send it hard, and he's going to go not even going to the taste. He's going to straight up go around the outside. Wilson is going to keep onto that inside line. Look at that. Now the door opens for Williford and April. Williford, another Gauteng driver, and April from Cape Town region, or the Western Cape. Ooh, side by side, and they clip each other there. That opens the door for Pricevic. And John Wilson has pulled away from all of this side part rubbing behind him. Wilson has pulled away. We've got Williford, Hicks, Pricevic, April, Tony Orby just behind him. Here comes April on Pricevic now. April down the inside of Pricevic on the double left, final corner. Everybody tucking, trying to get as little drag as possible and just get onto the rear of the cart in front. It is so epic. It is a, well, John Wilson broke away, but it's still a 6-cart battle. 5 carts behind the leader. Not falling away. John Wilson's not pulling away at all. It's just less than a second. As soon as Deacon Williford gets back into that toe, which should be probably about a couple more tenths, and he'll just get dragged along nicely. There's a big battle behind him. Mark Pollard fighting with... Oh, I don't want to go away from this leading pack though. This leading pack is absolutely amazing. Massey Hicks now on Deacon Williford. What Hicks needs to do is needs to bump draft. He needs to push Williford towards John Wilson and not just fight him. 6 tenths. So 2 more tenths gained by Olivier on Wilson, and that's what Hicks is doing, is not fighting Olivier, he's just pushing him along. Bump drafting down the straight, and it is very strong, very helpful driving there by these youngsters. It is impressive. We've 8 laps, nothing separates the top 6. Oh, April's going to attack on Massey Hicks there. That's not ideal because now they've given Olivier all the opportunity to break away from them. Yeah, side by side we go. Alan Cart versus the Cosmic versus the CS Scott. So it's all the OTKs fighting and the 2 T4s breaking away. When I say T4, I mean the 25 T4 body kits. And the battle up front, Deacon Olivier versus Jono Wilson. That is heating up once more. We're going to go on board. Just look at Wilson going that defensive line. Deacon Olivier just trying something different, trying to get himself around the outside. But these carts are so slow. You're going to have a lot of momentum to go around the outside in the corner. Olivier flat out through this section. He's not going to lift one little bit, even through this double left, the last corner. He's going to go down the inside. Oh, he clips Jono Wilson. Jono Wilson, did he lose the position? Yes, he did, but he did manage to keep his cart facing the right way. That is the final lap. Jono Wilson is not going to be impressed with that passing there. And April goes down the inside. Jono Wilson gives Deacon Olivier a bit of a love tap down the inside. No harm done there. Wilson's going to go straight back into P1 2 corners later. Oh, textbook cut back there by Anwar April. Down into the bridge section we go. This is some epic racing. Final lap. Jono Wilson, Anwar April, Deacon Olivier, Tony Orby, Massey Hicks. Priceovich just falling off a little bit there. Oh, Olivier going down the inside of April. Oh, Olivier getting it wrong on the curbs there. Orby coming down the inside. He's coming late to the party, but he's into P3 right now. Massey Hicks pushing Orby forward, trying to get past Olivier. Olivier's going to try and go down the inside. He's going to stick it down the inside, rather. But Jono Wilson got it sideways in the last corner, and it goes across the line in P1. Epic racing. Anwar April in second. Orby P3. Olivier will start in P4. Priceovich in... Oh, no. Olivier will start in P5. That would be a 1 second time penalty. Probably. Priceovich will be in P4. Massey Hicks P6. Marshall 7. The Sender in 8th place. Diego Antunes in 9th place. Maritz in 10th place. That is our top 10. Mark Pollard will be 11th, Miso Topedi 12th, Max Bosov in 13th place, Adrian Nell in 14th, Carl Lawrence in 15th, Rory Sang Mafisa will be in 16th place, and then Ruben Victor will start at the back there. That's some epic racing. Great racing. Fairly clean most of the times. Of course, there will be 1 or 2 side pods being nudged. We have really had a long discussion with the gentleman in the driver's briefing to keep it clean as far as possible. We don't want to be put in a position where we need to start a race ban or handing out race bans or even season bans, because the T4s are such an awesome kart to race with. But they are, like I said previously, very slow, which means there will be exchanges on track and they will be bumping each other more often than not. As long as it's within the rules, everything should be okay. But what an epic pre-final. We're going to go straight into it. Absolutely no time for anybody to have a quick break. They'll stay in their rigs and they'll get straight onto the grid. It is also worth mentioning there's some really youngsters. We've got a couple 9-10-year-old drivers in the space, or in the race. For example, Diego Antunes, very young. Ruvan Maritz as well. Miso Topedi, I think, is 11 or 12 now. Rory Sang, close to 10, 11. So we've got some really young gentlemen on this track, and they have been racing very hard and fair. So it's absolutely epic to see these youngsters come into the space of the OKL world and really fighting it with some much more experienced drivers, national champions, African champions, and they just showing them where the pace is at. Now we're waiting for the last drivers to get onto the grid. and then we will hopefully be entertained by an absolutely epic 15-lap final. This is where the maximum points are on offer. We see the light goes green. That means they are in the starting sequence. It means we're going to get racing. That's the lights out and away we go. Oh, Tony Orby caught off guard, sleeping on the grid there. Everybody else is going to have to take avoiding action. Orby is still standing still. Did his cart die on him? That's unfortunate. Tony Orby did not get away on the grid there. Everybody else seemed like they had managed to get away. Jono Wilson leading the way. Pricevic immediately on the attack there on Wilson. Wilson is not going to want to fight that for too long. He's going to want to break away as soon as he possibly can. Where is Deacon Olivier? Deacon Olivier is miles behind the pack now. He's got a lot of work to do to catch onto the back of that. Maybe he clipped the rear of Orby and got that sideways. Unfortunate there. Jono Wilson, Anwar April, Massey Hicks, Pricevic. That's the 4 leading pack. We've got the youngsters in the form of Maritz and Resende just behind them. Or April going down the inside on the double left. Last corner of Jono Wilson. He's lost 2 positions. He's going very defensively against Pricevic. Pricevic's got the inside line. Wilson has to forfeit that and accept that he's lost 3 positions in the space of 3 corners. April, Massey Hicks, Pricevic, Jono Wilson. Then William Marshall has made it through the first lap of exchanges. And he's in P5 now. Wilson going down the inside of Pricevic. Oh, Maritz getting it sideways. Oh, Tony Orby in the chat. His pedals stopped working. That is an unfortunate technical failure there. And probably the worst possible timing of your life. Look at that pace from Massey Hicks over the bridge section. He is so quick. That toe is so strong. It is all over the back of Anwar April. April Hicks. Jono Wilson has fallen off a little bit, but it is a Tony Kart 1-2 right now. Jono Wilson, the only one is a T4 kart. Then Pricevic, Marshall behind him. I think it's a whole stack. A whole stack of CS karts. So the Carlos Sainz chassis represented well tonight, and I think there's one red speed there I saw. Let's have a quick look at where, before we move away from this. Again, the leading fight is always so close. You can't move away. What Jono Wilson's hoping for is that these two start fighting with each other, because he lost the toe from them. So he's not getting dragged along nicely. He has to find some more pace. What's the gap? 1 second was the gap across the line the first time around. This time, he lost about a 10th there. So not ideal. Max Boshoff has come through nicely in P5 at the moment, with Daniel Resende just behind him. Max Boshoff has found a lot of pace from that pre-final to the final. So that's good from Boshoff. This leading pack is on charge as it stands. I don't think Massey Hicks is fighting this one at all. I think they're just trying to break away from Wilson, because they know that threat from Jono Wilson. Once he gets close and he gets pulled along, he will fight and he will make his way through the pack. So Jono Wilson's going to want to find some pace somewhere. Let's have a quick look at what happened to one of the front runners who's not in the front pack. And that is Deacon Olivier. Deacon Olivier crossing the line now. He's just moved himself up into P8. 2 positions that lap. So Deacon Olivier is still far off, but we're third through this final. So he's still got a lot of time to catch onto the back of this pack. But it is quite far. What's that gap? 6.1 seconds. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on Deacon Olivier. Pricevic, Marshall just sitting behind Wilson at the moment. Wilson doesn't seem like he has lost another 10th in that previous lap. So let's keep an eye on 1.1 seconds the gap this time around. For the previous lap, what does the gap look like? Here comes Hicks now. Hicks is now starting to get very aggressive onto the back of April. 2 tenths gained this time around. So a little bit of bumping there by Hicks and April. And that has given Wilson 2 tenths. He needs another lap like that, and he will probably start feeling that benefit of the toe. Massey Hicks is all over the back of April. April is not defending, so I think April's very comfortable with what's happening right now. He's accepted that Massey Hicks is not going to send it, but at some point he will. So April shouldn't be too comfortable. Marshall Priceovich also getting dragged along there by Jono Wilson. So these three will catch onto the leading two very soon. 9/10 is the gap. Does Wilson improve this time around? Does look like he's a little bit closer. Yes, 2 more tenths, like I said. But here comes Marshall. Marshall's going to send it down the inside, and that's going to frustrate Jono Wilson. An absolute unnecessary send, really. I would have probably bump drafted Wilson towards these two in front. Wilson's not going to be impressed with Marshall. Not at all. That would have cost him at least 3 tenths. Priceovich onto the back of these two. Wilson is fighting, and he's going to want to fight that back. But wow, William Marshall's found a lot of pace in this final. He's now starting to get back into the groove. He had a little bit of practice. Very late entry into this race, about 10 minutes before driver's briefing. William Marshall is really up in a solid position right now. But again, look at that. Marshall's got a 2-second time penalty. So, like I said, that was half a second, 4 tenths lost in that lap because of that send down the inside on Jono Wilson. So Wilson's going to have to settle for P3 as a potential podium here. Marshall in front of him with time penalties. Where is... So 6.2 seconds is the gap between first and Deacon Williford is trying to work his way through the field. Did I just see him send it down the inside of 2 people? Yes, he did. On my screen. So, yeah, Deacon Williford has gone up 2 more positions, but the gap is so far though. Massey Hicks still just sitting behind April. That's a big gap now. Marshall, not Marshall, Wilson has fallen off the pace here. Maybe a little bit frustration creeping in with that send on him. He was catching the 2 guys in front. Marshall went down the inside, cost him 4 tenths, and maybe now he's just driving that cart a lot harder than what is needed. Massey Hicks. April still leading the charge here up front. Let's see what's the gap here. Deacon Williford is 8 seconds off the gap. So he was 6, so he's lost a lot in that previous exchange with the 2 guys he passed. And then behind him, Mark Pollard going down the inside of Ruben Victor. Resende, lost a lot of momentum there on the exit. Pollard going wide. Victor going into, what is that, P7? Mark Pollard is in P7 actually. Mark has got a lot. He doesn't have time penalties. The gentleman in front of him all has time penalties, which is unfortunate. What happened to Massey Hicks? We've lost Massey Hicks. Has he disconnected? Has he retired? On my timing sheet, we've lost Massey Hicks. Maybe internet problems? That is unfortunate. If Massey Hicks disconnected, that's unfortunate for him. Yeah, he's disappeared off the timing sheet now. He's going to fall down as everybody crosses the line. So that has potentially handed a victory to Annual April unless something behind him happens. As I say, that Jono Wilson, William Marshall fighting each other very aggressively. So P2, 3, and 4 still within reach, but barely. Marshall's got 3 seconds worth of time penalties now. So William Marshall somewhere running, using a little bit more of the track than what is allowed. And that's costing him time penalties where he could have easily been on the podium. So is this now a time for Priceovich to actually be aggressive, or should he just accept that Marshall's got the time penalties in front? There's no reason for him to fight, but surely he would like to have at least P2. And Deacon Williford is 8 seconds off the pace. So yeah, he's not making any ground on them there. Marshall again crossing over the curb on the exit of the bridge section, and that's probably where he gets his time penalties. I won't be surprised if he gets another 1 second. Wilson, 9/10 of the pace. 3 laps to go. Will he be able to do something special at the end? Let's keep an eye on the gap. He needed Marshall to bump draft him down the straight instead of fighting. There we go. As I say that is what a late pass attempt there by Marshall, and that's over the curbs as well. Definitely not ideal. And I wouldn't say that's textbook. I would say Marshall took the textbook and threw it out of the window and just sent it there, which is very unfortunate. Maret's out of the race. Orby out of the race. Carl Lawrence out of the race. Carl Lawrence, is it safe to assume you will be joining me back in the commentator's booth next time around? Wilson, Pricevic. Now, Pricevic and Wilson's got that fight that they were hoping for. Well, Pricevic was hoping for that. Wilson was hoping to fight up front. Pricevic wanting to go down the inside. Jono Wilson wise to that move in that exchange. 3 wide into T1 we go. That's not going to be ideal place for... Oh, Marshall's going to try and fight it back again. Pricevic, Wilson, Marshall on track, fighting it out for P2. Whilst April has just pulled away and is currently leading the charge 2.1 seconds. Pricevic is probably hoping that Marshall just falls off behind him. He's got, what's that, 4 seconds worth of time penalties. And still fighting the guys in front, which isn't ideal for the two gentlemen fighting for P2 and 3. But as we know, these karters always want to finish ahead of each other on track. They don't care about their penalties. Well, Marshall again, that is an unnecessary maneuver. The door was not even open there. Wilson, Pricevic still fighting it out. We're going to stick with these two as they fight it out for the final two. Well, whoever's going to be on the second and third position for that podium slot. Marshall has done a couple dodgy maneuvers there, I would say, at the very least, and probably going to receive some penalties there. He's already got a heap of time penalties. Jono Wilson going to go down the inside. Yes, he is. Well, that's going to open the door for Pricevic. It's a fight to the line. Pricevic gets... No, Wilson does get that position there. Jono Wilson gets P2. Anwar April, sorry for not following you over that line. Anwar April, absolutely epic drive. Clean as could be. There will definitely be pushback penalties, just as a FYI. They're obviously a lot more lenient than the real life. But yes, we will be checking the nose cones. We have that functionality in the sim. Anwar April taking P1. Jono Wilson P2. Alexander Pricevic P3. Yeah, great racing overall. Unfortunately, 1 or 2 drivers not keeping it within the rules, and I'm fairly certain the stewards will have a very busy night. Let's see if we can get the gentleman into the commentary booth for a quick review. Interview rather. Will the gentleman join me, or are they gonna skip out on that? I think there might be some tempers flaring right now, so maybe we should call it a night. Overall, up front the racing was fairly clean in the pre-final. This final we saw some questionable maneuvers by some of the drivers, and very unfortunate there for Keegan Massey Hicks, who gets disconnected for some reason. He was having such a good battle with Anwar April, and it seemed like he was very much in control of that race in P2, just sitting behind April, just bump drafting down the straight and pulling away from the pack. Jono Wilson was sitting in P3, then got a very late send there by Marshall down the inside, which put him back a couple of positions with Pricevic. Jono Wilson had a really good fight there at the end. Wilson will be in P2, Pricevic in P3. Those are obviously all unofficial results because there will be a lot of incident reviews, I'm fairly certain. And the admins will have a busy night ahead and a busy day tomorrow. But let's have a quick look. Has any of the gentlemen joined? No, everybody's jumped off. So we're going to call it a night there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in for the second round of the Online Karting League Africa Championships. We have about 3 weeks break before the next race. Let's have a quick look at the calendar. The next race will be the OKL World Series Round 2. That's the OKJs and the Mini Rock Karts. That will be on the 8th of July. And then the third round of the World Series will be on the 12th of August. And the 19th will be the third round for the African Championship, which will be at Tony Rust in Namibia. And then taking us to the 14th of October, which will be the fourth and final round of the African Championship at Kalani in South Africa. So we'll see you guys in 3 weeks' time. Thank you so much for tuning in. That is it from us at OKL. Goodbye.